Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out my website, thesocialcomposition.com. The Social Composition is a project that I'm working on for my master's in choreography. So my thesis is looking at technology as a source for choreographic inspiration. I've been looking at industrial technologies such as automotive transportation, subways, trains, cars, things like that, and how those movements can affect our bodies and how we can extract original choreography from movement inspiration. For this piece in particular, the social composition, I'm looking at social media as a source for choreographic collaboration. So instead of just me creating a piece by myself, I can have interaction and feedback and questions and comments from people all over the world. This not only broadens the complexity of the piece, but it allows it to be so much more than just me and the dancers. So from that perspective, I'm hoping the piece will be much richer and more informative. A lot of us use social media for recreational purposes. Businesses use it for advertising and to create brand loyalty. But what I want to do with social media is to see how it can be used artistically. How can we use this online tool that we have, that we all use every single day, to create something bigger? So I just had my first rehearsal with my dancers and it was awesome. They did a great job. They were really invested and really enthusiastic, which makes all the difference in the world. I wanted to just give the dancers a chance to move and a chance to show me their strengths and allow me to see how they work together. I started the rehearsal with just this movement exercise, playing with attraction and repulsion. So I used magnets as a form of imagery. Having the dancers move around the space, and when they came into close contact with each other, they would either repel or connect somehow. And the connecting was especially beautiful. They found interesting ways to connect different body parts and to move those body parts together, and they didn't just have that one instantaneous interaction. They played with it. It was open enough that they could interpret it in their own way, but still gave them some set guidelines to move within. So then I had this idea of a tree. And this idea really came from work that I did in my first piece called Steel Flesh, where I was dealing a lot with urban influences. So I was actually moving with my dancers in the subway. And there's something funny about the subway, how it can just displace your weight. That lurching forward, it really can displace your weight in such a way that you feel like you're suspended in midair. I found that to be a really beautiful image. And so it kind of developed in my head this idea of a tree, of this sort of electronic technological tree. And like a real tree, it sways gently, but it has this sturdiness. So I wanted to play with that image with the dancers in rehearsal. They created this link, and the longer the link became, the stronger it came, and the more suspension and tension occurred between the dancers. And so they were kind of this strong chain, but that just suspended gently in the space. So that's something I want to play with more, definitely, is ideas of suspension and movement and displacing our weight in ways that don't always feel comfortable. And then finally, the last idea we played with was this idea that I've been sort of playing with in my other pieces, and it's this idea of electricity and electricity transmitting through your body. So I challenged the dancers to create sort of this electrical current in one part of their body and have it travel throughout their body. And I didn't tell the dancers that they couldn't interact with each other, but it was really striking to see the difference between all this movement that the dancers had done together and how they fed off each other to this suddenly very isolated movement, and how just separate the dancers became from each other. They didn't look at each other, they didn't interact in any way whatsoever. So even though I didn't do this on purpose, I found this movement to be really striking, and I think I'm gonna play around with it in terms of representing isolation and loneliness. So some questions I have from this rehearsal are: do you think the way that we interact with each other kinesthetically has changed since now we do a lot of our interacting online? Especially if you've studied movement before, do you see a difference in the way dancers move together, or people just in general move together? And these can just be small things, do people walk closer together or further away from each other? Do they shy away from making eye contact, or have we always been like this? Has social media not changed anything at all? I'd also love to hear some feedback if anybody has any other movement experiments that we can try just to play with interaction and connection and things like that. I'd love to hear comments and feedback and questions and anything else you can throw at me. I think the most important thing to emphasize in this process is that I don't want to just hear from dancers. Don't feel like if you have no dance experience at all that you shouldn't contribute. That's the whole point. We all look at things from a different lens, from a different perspective, from a different viewpoint, and I want to know what yours is. So if you're a scientist, foodie, somebody who likes to read Jane Austen books, somebody who watches Disney 24/7, a shopaholic, a blogaholic, you have a unique viewpoint and I want to know what it is. So check out the video below from our first rehearsal and leave me all your comments and questions. Thanks so much. Happy creating. Whew, sorry, I'm nervous. Holla.
Sorry, I'm not very good at public speaking.
Shall we say, like getting all panicky here. Ooh. Pippin! Say hi to Pippin!